What's going on, Neon Nation? Welcome back to the Neon Arcade for some more Cyberpunk 2077 news. Today we're talking about Night City Wire Episode 4 and what to expect, some new localization details coming out of Korea, as well as a peek at the size of the Cyberpunk 2077 script, some new screenshots, one giving us a hint on photo mode, some brand new Cyberpunk Red details, a contest, and more. Before we get into it, snag a Cyberpunk 2077 display for 15% off with the link in the pinned comment. First up in today's episode, we have a brand new screenshot via the CDPR and Cyberpunk 2077 socials with the caption "The Heat," showing off an Arasaka agent ready for combat as bullets are whizzing all around. Based on comments from the developers, the weapon here is the Nakoda D5 Copperhead, and not the Militech Saratoga that we're used to seeing by now. We do know a photo mode is planned, and I've seen a bunch of comments speculating that this may be used to capture this image, based on mainly seeing the bullets, so this might be some insight into some of the epic snapshots we can take in game. We haven't really talked about photo mode too much, mainly because details are scarce on it, but it is 100% one of my most anticipated features. Moving on, we have yet another tweet showcasing some electrified Mantis blades as we get right into the face of a maelstromer. We also know that CDPR has been working with an ever-growing list of well-known influencers from around the world, whom over the past couple days have started sharing their featured advertisements in 2077. These look authentic to something we would see in real life, with my personal favorite being this one. Next, in celebration of Cyberpunk 2077 going gold, the Japanese team at CDPR posted a picture showing off a printed part of the game's script. The way this is worded in Paul Sosko's as well as the original tweet actually makes it seem like this is not the entire script and there is more, but nevertheless it really helps you quantify how much raw work, writing, and effort go into developing a large-scale main quest, assuming this is what the bulk is for. Moving on, yes, we finally have a date for Night City Wire episode number 4, again which I will be streaming, so check out the link in the pinned comment to set a reminder. In an announcement tweet a few days ago, CDPR mentions that, quote, "The 4th episode of Night City Wire is coming Thursday, October 15th at 6 PM CEST. This time we'll go into details about the looks, sounds, and specs of Cyberpunk 2077 vehicles. As usual, you can expect new gameplay, footage, announcements, and more." Now obviously we are getting content on vehicles, which could include cars, bikes, tanks, ACPAs, what have you, but CDPR has also made mention of radio stations, console footage, and expansions to be announced and shown off pre-launch, so those seem to also be on the table for this one as well. They only explicitly mentioned vehicles, but based on the last 3 Night City Wires, they are typically split into 3 sections, so maybe we'll get vehicles, radio stations which are tied to vehicles, and console footage of vehicle gameplay or street races, which are already confirmed to be a minigame. In my opinion, this would kill multiple birds with one stone, while still centralizing the theme of this Night City Wire on the horsepower in Cyberpunk. Anyways, let me know in the comments how you guys think they will split up this episode. Moving on, we have a response to a question from the Cyberpunk 2077 Twitter page, this time about something I'm personally most intrigued by, the philosophical, transhumanistic, and self-reflective questions that go hand in hand with the cyberpunk genre. CDPR responds as follows. In Cyberpunk 2077, we treat technology as banal and not as liberatory. Technology exists to reproduce systems that produce the technology. The questioning we want to inspire is more personal and humanistic than anything directly related to the implications of new technologies. Centering a story or a narrative thread on purely the tech can be pretty vapid, but if you center your story on the people of Night City and use technology as an accessory to help tell these stories, now that's where you mix nuance with emotional impact. Players may not necessarily care how a subdermal weapon grip may or may not work, but they will most likely care how it makes them feel when grafted into skin and bone, and how this distorts, enhances, or changes V, and what the ripple effect would be as you effectively turn yourself into nothing more than a human Lego. Next up, we have some incredible news coming out of CDPR Korea. Last year, CDPR mentioned that they did not have the capacity to do a full Korean localization, to the dismay of many of the fans. They have since changed their stance on this, and a full Korean VO will be coming to the game in a patch in December. Assuming the monumental task this is, based on seeing the script earlier on in the video, this is super impressive. It's not common for a developer to go back and do something like this, so I have to give CDPR the props for the sustained effort for the benefit of their Korean audience. Now before we move on to the next topic, check out some of their localization efforts for Cyberpunk 2077.
그래, 기분 열나 짱 좋다 이거지. 이게 바로 치고 빠지기야 이놈들아. 우린 부자야. 우린 이제 다 해먹을 수 있어. 체크해. 야. 네.
Next up, we have some Cyberpunk Red news to go through. This is the preamble tabletop RPG that will bridge the gap between the source material of Cyberpunk 2020 and CDPR's 2077 since they lie in the same universe. It seems Cyberpunk Red finally does have a release date, which is again still subject to change because, well, 2020, with the digital version of the game coming November 14th and the printed version coming out alongside the video game on November 19th. Cyberpunk Red will clock in at 211,000 words, 456 pages, 143 pieces of art, and a price of $60 for the physical and $30 for the digital version. Check out one piece of art that Artalsorian shared via their socials, which is titled The Corporate Supper, featuring some of the neocorps of 2045, as well as some of the more prominent established corporations that originated in 2020. Newcomers include continental brands Danger Girls, Zirafa, Ziggurat, and Rocklin, and established corps include Biotechnica, Trauma Team, Sov Oil, Petrochem, Militech, and Netwatch. When it is time to talk about these neocorps, we will, but for now this image is all we have. Artalsorian also shared the map of Night City in 2045, so check it out here next to the ones we've seen for 2077. There are some subtle changes here and the zones are clearly labeled, so you can see which locations are which. Finally, we have some products to be released, this time including Razer's wireless mouse. Aesthetically, it's similar to the chair released earlier in the year, so if you are interested, go check that one out. Steelseries is also launching something in the coming week, so keep an eye out for that. There have been some pictures on the internet which seem to indicate a 2077 branded mousepad as well as a mouse. Before we go, Monday, October 12th is the deadline for the Cyberpunk 2077 setup competition. Tweet out your Cyberpunk 2077 inspired console or PC setups with the hashtag #TheNeonArcadePC to have a chance at winning a tote bag, a lanyard, some exclusive stickers, as well as a large Cyberpunk display. That is it for this episode. Go check out the Ultimate Analysis video that I released maybe a couple days ago. And for everything and anything Cyberpunk 2077, join Neon Nation by subscribing to the Neon Arcade.